Hey guys, Stixies here. Just kind of want to go over a new video today regarding the champion point changes and the base stat changes and our new characters' base resistances and such. And the main reason we want to kind of talk about that, I'm not going to talk resistances as in the stat, as there's still a little more I want to experiment with that in terms of the tanking side of things, which for my tank friends as well as myself I will be looking more into in the near future. But in the terms of how this is looking right now, without any champion points at all put in, and all of my attributes put into my stamina stat, I'm currently sitting at 30.7k stamina as well as 18.6k health. This is quite higher than what I had before. I'm sitting at almost 2k more health than I did prior on my baseline, and this is before we get into champion points, and I'm sitting at about the same stamina in all honesty, even though Orc did receive about an 800, like a 1k nerf. So I did get a downgrade in my initial stat there, but I'm still relatively the same on that. And I will be putting a parse at the end of this video today, so that way you can kind of get an idea of the damage difference given what I had posted prior. But the first thing is characters are now going to have 15% damage mitigation in their character itself to help compensate for what we lose in our red CP tree line now. So keep that in mind as we look into this, that we now have a 15% base mitigation. And our base health went from 12k to 16k, and we gained about, I think it was roughly about 900 more max stamina and magicka to start off with. But anyway, let's get into the lovely system, which I kind of did a little bit of a preview of yesterday, involving the bar up here. Might have been 2 days ago when I uploaded this, but let's go ahead and get into the skill lines and kind of how they function. The first one we're going to go with, just because it kind of gives you the details of how the system works fully, is the warfare skill line. Well, the champion points. So as you'll notice, as we get into here, a few things come apparent. We have these options here, and to ascend in the tree, let's say we want to get our critical rating a little higher, we need to allocate at least 10 points into the skill line to get it to expand outward. And once we do that, you can see the three main skills here. The three main types of stars is what I'm going to call them. And the first one is these ones on the side here, which have this white aura around them. These are our slottable ones. So as I don't need the magicka one, let's see what this one is. Weapon and spell damage and stamina. Let's go ahead and, just for the sake of the video, we'll go ahead and throw 10 points into this. So it's a little bugged. It says it doesn't show you the current bonus, but it's 3 times 10, so we get 30 points of weapon and spell damage from that. And then we just go ahead and click it, and then you can just drag it and drop it up here. And if you don't want it, just drag it and drop it off. But yeah, so you just go ahead and, don't just click it, click and hold, drag up, drop into one of the slots, and this is now active. Without it being inside these little balls up here for these ones that glow like this, it doesn't actually keep them active. However, these yellow stars, these stars are our passive ones. So because this is actually just a great stat in general for stamina, I'm going to crank that up and get that full. And what that does is it gives 160 critical rating per bonus. And so what's nice about this is it's going to be 160 times 5, but maybe it's just holding off to show it till we accept it. It is. Okay. So it won't show you the active bonus until you confirm it, which is now giving about 800 more critical for both spell and magicka. So that would probably put you at approximately, well, I think that's about another 3% crit, roughly. Might be a little bit more than actually. I'll have to calculate that. But we also have this other one, which is a baseline built in, which just gives you flat stamina. And as we are a stamina DPS, I'm going to just put my points all into that. And we're going to go ahead and commit that. And once you do that, we now have connected to this one in particular for purple, as well as the other one. And this one is Staving Death. In here we have quick recovery. So this is where our quick recovery went, which was our healing taken. So it only gives up 1% per stage, but we need to have 10 points in it to be able to get to these other ones. which these are going to be more so used by tank CP, so that way we can get the extra damage mitigation from spell or magical attacks, as each stage of this gives us 1 point into that. These are all passive ones, and this one's really great. So it reduces your damage taken by non-player attacks by 3% per stage. That's going to be big. That's going to probably be our main focus point in as tanks, but we'll go into that a little later. But as you can see, these ones are nice. So this first one is for your critical resistance, so you take less damage from crit strikes. Apparently it actually just details it that it now reduces the damage taken from critical strikes by 2% per stage, so that's pretty great. As well as this one reducing the damage you take from magic attacks, from physical attacks, of the martial attacks as it calls it, and our healing taken. And then this other one, extended might. This is where we have pen, which is interesting, and we need to have some of it to be able to get to the other portion. So let's go and put 10 points in, and then we can get towards this one. Is pretty interesting. So this gives us 100 points of weapon and spell damage to our martial abilities, which I'm not sure if we're going to fully need that, but let's go ahead and go for it while we're here. So we need to put 30 points into that, and as you guys see, I'm still got quite a hefty amount of points that I can allocate, given the fact that I've just dumped into them. And for Stamcrow, this is me just spitballing here, because there's some great points. But let's continue down on the trees and explain what each of them is before we go forward on that. So Extended Might essentially grants us what we detailed before, which is where we get increased magical and spell damage to War Mage, which is this bottom one here. These are all passive, by the way, so you don't need to slot any of these. But it gives you 100 weapon and spell damage, weapon and spell damage increased magical attacks. This one's gonna be really good for increasing your proc rate of magical effects, which is gonna pair really well with the charged effect, or even not without it, like just for proccing burning and things like that. So that's something to keep your eye on. And of course, penetration from piercing. It's both magical and spell. Well, spell and physical, I should say. Of course, magical is the same as spell. And then of course we have mighty, which has now been reworked to this martial attack buff. Oh, and I just removed a point from it. Let me put that back. There we go. The next one we have is we're going to go up to the tips of the fingers up here, which Deadly Aim increases your damage done with single target attacks by 2% per stage. So we're definitely going to want this, because this is going to be one of our orb ones, so we're going to put it up here with these. So we're going to ping just like that. Then we also have increased Thaumaturge, which is our dot, so it increases your damage done with damage or time effects by 2% per stage. This is where it kind of gets into the line where it's going to be dependent on your build. It's really hard to decide, because this next one also buffs your area of effect attacks by 2% per stage, which is Biting Aura. It's probably going to be really great for Stamplars, depending on if it's going to factor in your damage done with single target attacks, or what is it going to consider. I'll have to test that out. But yeah, so you have damage done with single target attacks by 2%, Thaumaturge, which is going to increase your dots by 2%. Then we're going to go back down this tree to Precise and go up. So we have Fighting Finesse, which increases your critical damage and critical healing by 2% per stage. We also have Backstabber, which increases your critical damage done by 3% per stage while you are flanking. Occult Overlord. Whenever you kill an enemy under the effect of a status effect, they violently explode for 2k oblivion damage per stage. There's 2 stages, so 4k in a 4-meter radius. That could be really good. It all depends on... It doesn't seem like it has a cooldown, so 4k AoE per enemy killed. It could be a good passive, especially for those that like doing Skyreach farming. I could definitely see it be very valuable there. We have Wrathful Strikes, which increases... grants 33 weapon and spell damage to your damaging abilities per stage. That's probably going to be the big one that we're going to invest in for an orb for weapon and spell damage, as opposed to this one, as these ones cap out at 50. So keep that in mind. And when you deal direct damage, you heal for 7% of the damage done. Interesting. What's Pale Order again? One moment. What is Pale Order at? 7% on that. That seems pretty high. So payload order is 18%, but I guess this is only on direct damage dealt, which is interesting. Keep your eye out on that. That could be very good for like VMA and solo content. But let's see here. So if we get full investment here, what is the current bonus? It doesn't say. So seems like it'd be about 150 though. But let's go and put that up there. Why not? Did they aim up there? Yeah, let's go with those two. Well, those three for now. Next thing I see here is we have Eldritch Insight, which is like the stamina one over here for getting down this tree, but it's for Magicka instead. So you can get max Magicka increase here. Looks like it's about 1300. And then of course with this, go ahead and I already committed it. Well, we can redistribute it just like before. And apparently it's not costing anything to do that. But yeah, so oh, interesting. So you do need to have some points into the star to keep descending down it. Okay. So we do need to put the 10 back in here. Okay. So you do have to keep 10 in quick recovery to keep going down. Let's see what else we have down here. Reduces your damage taken by area of effects by 2% per stage. Reduces your damage taken by single target attacks by 2% per stage. DOT reduction, okay. And what do we get after that? When you block an attack with an enemy, you deal about 5.4k damage back to the attacker. It can occur once every 5 seconds. When you have a shield or frost staff equipped, your spell and physical resistance is increased by 1,900. So Bulwark is going to be very that's going to be something that you'd want as a tank. This is definitely a must, like almost a must-have in my opinion. Especially with how little resistances have. I'll look into that more for a future video for you guys. When you begin bracing, so this is like our old passive that when you would block it, it'd give you a small damage shield. It's the same passive. Last Stand, it's back. It stayed, except it costs 50 points to unlock, which is a little expensive for what it offers. Just granting you major heroism for 9 seconds when you take damage below 20% of your max health. I kind of like this one though. Cutting the Fence, you deal 226 magic damage to attackers whenever they damage you with direct damage, with a direct damage attack within 7 meters. That seems pretty interesting. And then, so to continue this path, this is where our Blessed CP has gone, which increases your healing done by 1% per stage. And then we have increases your healing done with to single target by 2% per stage. And across from that with Soothing Tide, it's the same buff, but except it affects your area of effect healing rather than just single target. And then with Swivel Renewal, it increases your healing done with healing over time effects by 2% per stage. So I feel like these two, and like all three of these, will kind of have a little bit of synergy together. But let's go ahead and see, are these slots? No, these are passives, so these are not ones you have to slot, so that's really good. But since I don't need those, I'll smooth that out. And then this one will give you more weapon and spell damage to your healing abilities, so that's just, they're stronger. And healing a target under 25% removes all harmful effects from this effect can occur once every 24 seconds. That can be very good for certain trials. Definitely keep your eye out for that. And this Foresight passive, I'm going to tell you, that passive is going to be a massive game changer for tanks. Keep your eye out on that. I want to experiment with it because I think that is crazy. But yeah, so as you can see, as a DPS, yeah, I have 2 orbs slotted, which is, as you hover over them, they highlight. Well, let's get my 3rd one up there. But what would I want as my 4th? I feel like I'd have to go with my Thaumaturge. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I'm leaning towards getting the Thaumaturge here, or Fighting Finesse. So what? Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna trust my gut, and let's try this. Maybe I'll change it. But let's go on to the next options. Let's actually do Craft first. So with Craft, they added some fun stuff here. These bars don't really help with getting out of the way, but so Professional Upkeep. It reduces the cost of repairing by 1% per stage. And these stages are equivalent to like the amount you have. Let's see here, real quick. Let's see if what I don't remember which one has that built in. It's hard to say. It's a little bit in the way for this add-on, but let's go back to it. So when we have that, it's actually making it difficult to, actually, okay, it's probably alpha gear. Let's go ahead and turn off the alpha gear. It's a little obnoxious that it's causing that unfortunate issue, so add-on developers may need to look into adjusting that if it doesn't allow us to manually. And we'll have to check. Maybe it does let us manually adjust that. It's not alpha gear. Awesome. Well, the biggest thing is, let's go to the next one. Because you can get 50% on this one, and you get a 50% increased movement speed bonus, which is kind of crazy. Is that actually active? It might be. Yeah, it looks like it is at 50. It's just it's not letting us actually see the bonus. It's an unfortunate little side effect that some of these champion points are having as bugs. But so this is at 50% as well as this, which allows us to actually move crazy fast outside of combat. It might actually not be applying this time around, but it was for me earlier. But as you can see, my stamina's gone up to 32k, which is nice. The next thing about it is you can get reduced cost per stage. Oh, silly me. You gotta have these slotted. How could I forget that? Duh. Oh, and you have to actually confirm it. That's something to learn now. You have to confirm that you want those equipped. Oh, there we go. Look at that. So much faster, like outside of combat. Just haul in. Get the Ring of the Wild Hunt with this, and you're just gonna zoom. It's gonna be great for like farming nodes and such. Alright. So let's look at the rest though. Let's see what else we have. So we have our passive here, which is reduce fall damage taken by 7%. Which when we get that allows us to get the when you resurrect your ally or another player, or wait, resurrect yourself or another player, has a chance to not consume your soul gem by 33%. You can also get the Wanderer, which reduces cost of way shrine usage per stage by 10%, which is actually really handy. Fortune's Favor, which increases the gold you find in treasure chests and safe boxes by 10%. Could build up over time, you never know. Especially with saving money on that. The next thing, which I think is going to be great for us raiders, for our Undaunted Plunder, increases the cost at which merchants buy goods from you by 2% per stage. Just invest in all that. Reduces the movement speed penalty of sneak by 5%. And this is a passive one. That's great. So that's about 20%. Sweet, that's awesome. And this one removes 1,000 gold off your bounty once per day when committing a crime where the bounty is added. You must be level 50 for this passive to activate, and your current bounty must be at 1,000 or greater gold. I know a lot of people that could really use that passive. But let's go up this way. Inspiration increases crafting inspiration gained by 10% per stage. So it makes it so you can level up crafting 30% faster, which is normally just the thing that's beneficial, like benefiting orcs. The next thing is improves the chance of extracting woodworking ingredients and allowing more powerful resins from raw materials. That is definitely something that is gonna be helpful. And that's a whopping 100 points though. Woo! Let's go up this way for a second. So escaping from guards increases the value of fenced items by 15% for your local thieves out there. Reduces the radius you can be detected by sneak by 1 meter per stage. This could help offset some of the tanking stuff, you know. Oh, it's passive. It's not even required to slot. That one is. Oh, let's get that point back in. This one's huge for us. For the Magicka DPS out there, this is gonna be great. Your weapon enchantments decay 20% slower per stage. That's a whopping 50% reduction. That's crazy. And then adds 10 minutes to the duration of your food. That's great. Or drink. That's fantastic for making sure. Liquid efficiency. This one's great, potentially because of how expensive potions and poisons I've been getting. Whenever it procs, it has a 10% chance not to consume it. That's actually really nice. Definitely should be considered on that. Ooh, it takes up all my points. Then the treasure hunter's still here, so you can get the better loot. Harvest time, so reduces how long it takes to harvest. Increases mount speed by 2% per stage. Improves your mastery with mounts. Removes all mount stamina costs outside of combat. You have a 20% chance to yield double node resources per stage. Ooh! Getting that to 100 would be like great. That's pretty much a doubling of your node return all the time. That is going to be fantastic for farmers. You have a 10% chance to get a second furnishing plan. Decrease the time to take, well, the time it takes for a fish to bite by 25%. Increases your chance of catching higher quality fish by 10%. Okay. Well, I think if I was to be messing around with this for the time being, I think just due to the nature of how I play my Standcraft, I want better items out of my chest, especially when I'm doing trials or dungeons. And I feel like for my last points, there's not a whole lot I can put them in, especially in terms of the passives right now, just due to where I'm at. My CP's kind of in a little bit of an awkward stage, which is great. The CP allows you to really think about what you have. Of course, we have Slot Treasure Hunter. And rations and poisons both need to be slots. So I'm going to throw it into rations, even though I don't have it. I'll put that up there, because that's going to be handy. Now on to the final one, which is fitness. Fitness starts off with these 5 options. The first one being grants armor per stage, which is pretty handy. It grants you 50 times 34.6, which roughly puts us at 1,730, which is about 2.62% damage mitigation. You also get 28 max health per stage, which, I mean, I kind of lean towards wanting to dump my points into that and get to 50, you know, it's extra 1k health, a little over that. And you can get rejuvenation, which gives you health, magicka, and stamina recovery per stage. It might be worth it, especially given the fact that we don't have our old recovery passives. But let's look at what else we have here. In the meantime, I am actually going to dump a full 50 in that. So that puts us 150 magicka and stamina recovery. Okay. This one just straight up gets max health, but let's see what we need to get to there first. So we have another one which reduces our cost of block by 20%, which is a passive. And these, the fitness as well as the craft, they don't have sub-constellations yet like this mage one had, where you could go in depth another stage yet. They are planning to add them in the near future, but they aren't currently on the PTS. So let's go with the first one, which is because I'm a stamina DPS. I feel like the cost reduction on sprint is kind of what I'm leaning towards, so I'll throw in 15 points there. So your next dodge roll cost is free after considering it cannot be granted. That could be huge. That could be really good, actually. Breaking free is reduced. Reduces the duration of elemental status effects applied to you by 5%, which is a passive. That's so good. So if we want extra health just to be safe, because it never hurts to have extra health, that's a passive, so that's something that's going to be notable. But with these other ones, so given what we have, we want rejuvenation. I feel like that's going to be a mandatory one. Balanced vitality might be. Who knows? Oh, these ones are going to be great. So we have 2 new ones here, which is Bloody Renewal, as well as Siphoning Spells. And they work the same, just opposites of each other. One's for magicka, one's for stamina. But it grants you 300 stamina or magicka whenever you kill an enemy. I think that's going to be pretty nice to have on your DPS. You also can get 50 health recovery for every 10 ultimate you have. That one I think is going to be an interesting one to play around with, because if you can build up to 500 ultimate, That's 500 health recovery, which could be good. You never know. Shield Master just reduces the cost of your shields by 2% per stage. We do a Bastion again. That is back. It increases your damage shields as well as your damage shield damage. So I think that's going to be situational for fights like the first boss of VMAW, for example. For just busting down those shields really fast. Because that could give you like a 32% damage increase on that. So think of that, keep that in mind. And let's see, is it passive or is it slotted? It is slotted. Okay. But since we don't want to fully invest in, we want to kind of expand more. Next one is, while shielded, your dodge roll costs 160 less per stage. Okay. And then resurrection will return to life after resurrection with 10% more resources. This one's a huge sink. It's 250 CP to invest in this one fully. But the extra resources, 50% extra resources, that could be a make or break in certain situations when you're coming back to life, so it is something to think about. Well, let's go ahead and look at the last one, which is Spirit Mastery, which is going to be really worth it. It really is, because it decreases the time to resurrect an ally by 33%. That one's a great one for getting your teammates up. We have Hasty. We're going to go through Hasty's path now from Hero's Vigor. Hasty increases your movement speed by 2% per stage. Which of these little bars you see there with the little arrow pointing to 40? So essentially you just divide it so it's 10%, well 10 CP per 1 to get the effect of 2%. And then we have reduces the cost of your sprint by 20 stamina per stage, which is good. And then through that we have the reduces the cost of sprint by 50% per stage while you are immune to crowd control. So that way you get the extra sustain after you get broken out CC and like PvP. But the final one's over here is reduces block costs by 20 per stamina per stage. Well, 20 stamina per stage. Increases your movement speed while bracing, which is your block, by 3% every stage. While immune to crowd control effects, increases your damage you block by 2% per stage, which I'm curious if they're going to implement that so it's actually effective more times in PvE. And I'm curious if like the heavy armor and immobilize, like that CC it gives when you use the heavy armor major resolve skill. I'm curious if it will proc this. We'll have to test that out. And we also have Bashing Brutality, which increases your bash damage by 120 per stage. May help for those that like to bash weave. They'll probably look into getting that. And then Fortification, which increases the amount of damage you can block by 4% every stage. And then let's go ahead and go through Tumbling's path to Defiance. Well, actually, real quick, just so you guys can see, these all appear to be slottables. Oh, no, this one is passive. This one's passive. No, they're actually all passive. So these are all passive ones over here. So they have the little stars. Okay. They don't have the auras around them. They're all passive. Are they actually? That's crazy. That one looked like it might be. Oh. Oh, no. Yeah, it just had that points in them. So that one is. So these ones are slottable. Is this one slottable? No, it's not. I think this one is slottable then. Let's go ahead and pump it in. Yeah, it is slottable. Okay. And of course with these ones, these both are slottables, I believe. So if we, yep. Oh no, this is a passive. These both are passives actually. That's even better. Wow, that's actually crazy good. Okay. Learning new stuff here. Just out of curiosity, what happens if we reduce points here to 0? Oh, it shuts off all those skill lines. You have to re-put them all in. Really? Okay, interesting. Huh. This one increases your detection distance, which is stealth detection, which is good. That's interesting that if you shut down one, it closes them all. That makes like resetting kind of interesting and a little easier than normal. So Defiance reduces the cost of break free by 110 stamina per stage. Slippery, while you are affected by a disabling effect, you automatically break free for no cost. After this effect, you become winded and cannot trigger this effect or others like it for 21 seconds. Could be very good. Honestly, it could be. And then Unchained. When you break free, the cost of your next stamina ability used within 5 seconds is reduced by 11% every stage. So that could be a huge save. Just pop a vigor during that. Increases magicka and health recovery while immune to crowd control effects by 40 per stage. Could be very helpful, especially in PvP, guys. These are great CPs for PvP. Increases the duration of the time you are immune to crowd control effects by 3% every stage. Could end up saving you a second. Crowd control only lasts about 7 seconds usually. While you are immune to crowd control, you take 2% less damage every stage. So this can be like a 10% damage reduction. With the new armor types, this really opens up a lot of options that we have here. But for PvE DPS, I'm actually kind of just leaning towards the health, honestly. Of course, probably want this, because that's... Holy cow, hold up. How much is that? Does it gonna say? So we got 5 stages. That's like 1.5 stamina return when you kill target. That's almost VO. That's like false god or VO almost. I wonder what the proc condition is. Is it killing blow, or is it just when you have like recently done damage and they die? That could be huge. That genuinely could be very huge. And I feel like the next one that I would go after in terms of slottable ones is Bastion, honestly. Like, I feel like that's probably the one that I would go for. I would either go for Bastion. Yeah, I'd go for Bastion, or I'd go for Survival Instincts. Because if you have a debuff on you that's like a purgeable debuff, I feel like that would be the one I would go for PvE. So yeah, Bastion for the damage shield damage, honestly. And as you can see, even though I've gone through, selected the 4 I wanted, I still have a lot of points. And this is where you get to put it into your passives. Yeah, like this being passive is huge. Let's see, it reduces the, yeah, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to build that up a little bit. Roll dodge reduction, why not? Increasing movement speed of sprinting, well, let's go. Oh, it's only 8%, okay. So it's 5 stages, 8 points per stage. Okay. Get the resurrection of allies quicker, that's huge. With those being slotted, we don't want to put points into those at the time. But I feel like the next thing that I would go for is probably... break free reduction. These are all slotted, so I don't want to use those. I'm pretty sure Unchained is slotted too. Well, we'll have to find out. Let's see if Unchained is slotted. It is slotted, so we don't want that. See, this is what I really like about the system. It leaves you thinking about how you want to customize these. So that takes 10, that takes 10. So it's not going to save me to go that route either way. I have 47 points. So I feel like I'm just going to go for Sprinter. Reduce the cost of sprint a little bit. Get a little extra haste when I'm sprinting. A little more block cost wouldn't hurt. And there you go. So with that slotted, we have our 4 up here. And that's how the system works. And just like that. Holy cow, 21k health. Holy. That's my base health. What's my resources look like? The stamina recovery, like resource recovery, definitely has gone down. Weapon damage. The spell damage is huge. Like, I'm seeing almost 3k spell damage just like this. That's huge. I'm curious of how this is going to go going forward. Hybrid builds may have something coming recently. But anyway, that's a rundown of everything that is happening with the new champion point system and things that you can look forward to when it comes to customizing your character, as well as how to use your CP that you have regarding this new changes. If anything, guys, I just want to let you guys know I appreciate you guys spending the time to listen to this video. It's a lengthy one, but I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.